Hey Professor Grubbs, this is Katie Johnson. I just wanted to start off today telling you how much I've enjoyed your class and how much I've learned, and it has just made me so much more excited to become a teacher. We've read so many articles and so many surveys from past educators, and it's helped me so much to kind of prepare myself for what I'm about to get myself into. But my favorite out of the whole semester is probably the article we read by Ernest, the educated person, and that discussed 8 major areas that education should focus on. And those areas, included the life cycle, language, the arts, time and space, groups and institutions, work, natural world, and search for meaning. And one reason that I want to be a teacher is because I think that school is so important for students or for anyone, because it's really setting a foundation for them for the rest of their life. And, for some students that don't have a good home life, that could be the only education that they get and the only chance that they get. And so, I want to be that person giving them all those opportunities. But because there's so much to be learned in school, I think it's really difficult to really say all of that in one paper, and that's kind of what Ernest Boyer did, and I think he did a really good job at it. And so I really actually, after reading that article, have a huge found respect for him, because I learned so much, and he did such a good job at putting all that into one paper. Although I agree with all of them, and I think that all of them are huge, there was one main topic that I really agreed with, and that was his 4th topic, and that was time and space. This particular category discussed the idea of horizontal culture and vertical culture. Horizontal is kind of what we focus on more today, unfortunately, and it's just placing kids in a class because of their age. And that's the only thing, schools look at, is if you're 3, you go in this class, and if you're 7, you go in this class. And I see a huge problem with this for 2 main reasons. And one of those reasons is because it either holds children back or it stresses them out. For the kid who's gifted in some areas of their education is limited because, this person might be able to talk a lot, and this person might not be able to. And I saw this firsthand whenever I worked at Hand in Hand my senior year. I worked at a primary school, and I worked with little kids, like 3-year-olds, and there were some kids in the class that could not say a word. They could not speak to you. And there were some kids in the class that were speaking sentences to you, and I felt as if the ones that were speaking sentences were kind of held back because they were kind of like praised because they were able to talk, and the teachers thought it was so great. And yeah, I'm like a huge fan of praise, and I think that children should be congratulated whenever they meet their goals and stuff, but it's almost like they didn't go past that goal because teachers were so impressed that it just kind of stopped there. And I think that those few that were at the top of the class were kind of at a standstill because they couldn't leave the rest of the class behind. If they would have started talking and started doing more, then the other class wouldn't have had anything to do. So that's kind of like a tough situation. But if they were to go spend some time in older classrooms like pre-K and stuff, they could be around other kids that, talk and have conversations, and they could start learning more and setting new challenges and getting ready for the future a little bit quicker. However, it's also difficult for the child on the other side of the spectrum that is not as gifted and doesn't learn as quick, because the student who typically has trouble learning, how do they feel whenever they, see their friend over there excelling? And, sometimes it's good for them to be around, other students who do better than them because they kind of can learn some more, but it's got to be discouraging, when you can't learn as fast as they can, because you got Sammy over here, and he's excited because he just learned how to write his name. And then you got Mark over there that is writing, sentences. And so Sammy gets his feelings hurt because he's not doing as good as his friend is. And so it can just get really discouraging. And I think sometimes lower the excitement that kids should get whenever they do meet their goals, because not everybody learns at the same speed. So sometimes I think those lower students need to be taken aside, and they need to be with other people that are, at their level and learn at their speed and move at a pace that they're comfortable with. Students should not be held in a classroom only because of their age. I'm a strong believer of that, and I feel like it only limits their possibilities of learning to the best of their ability. The second major reason that I have for agreeing to Boyer's topic a lot is that children need to be around different ages. It's proven that they need to be around different ages. Think back to your first grade classroom, because it feels like yesterday to me. I remember my teacher, Miss Holly, and everybody in the classroom wanted, to hold her hand or to be her teacher's helper. And I know that I sure did. And that was like the highlight of my day if she let me, walk next to her in line. And why did we do that? It was because she was, the special person. Everybody else in our room was the same age as us, but she was the older one, and so she was like the cool one that we wanted attention to. Children crave, that one person that's not their age and that they're not around 24/7. Another example is in my hometown there were 2 schools, and this kind of made me think about it. There was a private school, and it was called Brookwood, and then there was a public school, and it was called Central, and that's where I went. And the public school had kindergarten and senior buddies, and the kindergartners would find their senior buddy, and then they would go and talk to them once a week and go play on the playground with them and do Christmas activities with them. And I think that's great. And talking to parents of those kindergartners, they've told me that these kids, it's their highlight of their week. And I think it's great, but after learning some in class, we know that private schools have parents that are more involved and that actually not care for, because public schools parents care for them too, but are just kind of more involved in their school because it's more of the higher class. And so our school over here, the public schools that had tons of kids that don't even maybe have parents at home, didn't do that. And so I think it's great that the Brookwood kids did, that the private school did. I think all kids should have something like that, but if any should, it should be the public over here who don't get that at home sometimes. Not only does it help the younger students, but it also helps the mentor. And I don't know if it's just me, because I'm majoring in early childhood education, and I'm committing to, spending all day, every day with children. But I love being around children. It just makes me so happy. They don't judge you. They really don't. They don't hold grudges. They'll forget about something 2 minutes later if they're mad at you. They see you for who you really are, and it feels good to just feel like the superstar that they make you feel like. And so I think it's just healthy, for somebody to feel that good that, children make you feel. Boyer said it himself in the article that his father was at a nursing home, and they had adopted grandchildren that came and saw them every now and then, and they would draw them, pictures, and they would just come spend time with them. And Boyer said whenever he'd call his father wouldn't say anything about how, bad he was feeling or anything negative, but he would only talk about the positive things. So I just kind of feel like being around children and just being around their innocence and their gentleness, it just kind of makes you only happy. It can't kind of do anything else but make you happy. So no, I'm not saying that a senior should be in the same class with the same teacher as a 4th grader, but I do think that interaction between different ages is so good and so important, and children should not be confined by their age. Thank you for listening to my opinion on Boyer's topic, time and space. Bye!